Hi guys, it's your boy Meritum here, and today I wanted to tackle a topic on why has Persona completely dominated the whole Shin Megami Tensei mainline series in terms of popularity and sales. Before I'll go through with it, if you enjoy SMT content, I would appreciate leaving a like and subscribing or typing a very angry and sweaty comment. It actually helps out a great deal. That said, let's get right to the point of the video.
Looking cool, Joker!
This is the main point that I'm sure everybody who's just slightly familiar with the series and has seen the thumbnail assumes would be here. Goddamn waifus. I think that Persona fans are guilty of basically transitioning and simplifying the game into one big waifu seeker. Persona 5 is the most guilty candidate of it. Maybe amplified because of its popularity and oversaturation of those. I don't know if there's a female character that isn't a romance option, or fans don't want them to be a romance option. Like, the game is just about seeing who you can bone on your first occasion. Basically, your romance options started with Persona 2 with a very slight remark on who you like the most, then transitioned to Persona 3, where you literally have to date everyone and cheat on everyone to max their social stats. What if I don't want to date while everybody is stuck in their coffins at night and they are getting apathy lobotomized on a daily basis? Tough luck, champ, now you gotta bone everybody to get them to like you enough so their social link won't reverse and you can max them out. In Persona 4 and 5 it has become a punishment to date everybody though, so it switches to choose your waifu rather than Pimp City, while you decide who you want to virtually schlong the most. And before you'll call me a SMT elitist, I don't want to shit on it that much. I absolutely love Persona as a series despite all my personal biases towards some of the player base that just wants to have as many waifus as possible and literally cut down any actual battle elements. That's commercially a good thing for the game. Even 3 years after the game's release, people are so enamored by the art style and how good the characters are that the art is still being made. People still have heated debates about who's the best waifu. I don't want to blame Persona as a series for it, since I don't even think that's a bad thing for the game, for the company, or the series as a whole. It keeps the longevity of the game and the player base active. I just don't like that this certain aspect of the game may be overshadowed by making it into a pure dating simulator. I just expect some people to be mighty upset when the Nocturne HD comes out for the Switch and PS4, and for them to be like, oh, why can't I romance Pixie? She was nice to me once. Will the mainline Shin Megami Tensei be able to top it off? I don't really think there is anyone that can be even considered a waifu. I goddamn cringe every time I say that. The only ones I can even think of are the characters from SMT Apocalypse, and they aren't even romanceable options. And honestly, that's good. Mainline setting is usually a bit sadder. People fare way worse under such amount of pressure, death and destruction around them, so no one really thinks about dating each other when they need to go on and on against hordes of demons and deities. Does it hurt the game? Unfortunately, due to the fact that any game with characters that have any anime girls, they will fall victim to them wanting to be shipped with the main protagonist. And you see, mainline setting isn't always the best for that, and I hope they won't personify, if that's even a word, the series enough to add romances as a focal point of the game. I feel like some people would want them to implement something like in Persona 2, adding an option that wouldn't impact the story and let characters develop like actual characters. For me, even that might feel like a little bit of a stretch, because I kinda want mainline to preserve their own aesthetics and themes without forcing a romance option. And since the development of SMT 5 started before Persona 5, I hope they'll keep it as it was before. No romance options, just pure aesthetics and setting. Will Shin Megami Tensei be able to overcome the waifu plague? Honestly, I hope that the plot, atmosphere and the setting will make up for it while being enticing for newcomers and people who already are into mainline games. And yes, I mean all 7 of you. Speaking of the setting of the game though, Shin Megami Tensei is a series of games that produce a number of spin-offs. Atlus has always tried to dip their toes into different settings to try something new. They made regular demon hoarding turn-based RPGs, more old-school dungeon crawlers. They made tactical RPG games with grid system when you buy demons out of actions. A kinda action game, but not really, which is surprisingly fun. But nothing has really hit the spot for being the great moneymaker for Atlus, as much as Persona did. Atlus died with the setting of their games. You get a cyberpunk futuristic setting, you get a detective setting, but then they decided high school. That'll be the thing that'll bring us those fat stacks of cash. And then they made Shin Megami Tensei If. Shin Megami Tensei If is literally one of the worst Atlus games when it comes to enjoying a title. What you get is pure suffering just to tell your friends, yes, I played If, you filthy casual. I still have nightmares of having games that are made just to make you suffer. It's just horrendous. I'm getting off tangent now, but thanks to it we got Persona, also centering everything around high schoolers. Those high schoolers encounter various events of the world like reality alteration, rumors and Joker. No, not that one, this one. People being locked in coffins, a mysterious TV world and stealing people's hearts. All of it has the same vibe. You're the protagonists, you'll make things right. You need to help and save everyone. This makes you want to be the man, like playing Persona and putting yourself in the protagonist's shoes is fun. Now, let's take a look at the generic mainline setting. Apocalypse is happening, or happened, and we go for the round 2 of the Electric Boogaloo. Mainline is usually centered around far more grand and serious conflicts. It has a pretty neat little affinity system that basically guides you what your morals are. It's called alignment and it kinda covers different options. You got law, which usually means siding with Yahweh, and striving for absolute order and peace with literally limiting any freedom possible and kinda heavy on genocide. Chaos and striving for power of the fittest, leading to anarchy and total lack of order, and Satan's personal middle finger to annoy Yahweh, and neutral, which in the most of games means returning the world to status quo before the apocalypse, either just kinda shuffling it under a rag and thinking, oh, I'll just deal with it later, no worries. Waiting for apocalypse to inevitably happen again, and for someone else to make the choice how the world will be shaped, or biding time until humanity will destroy themselves on their own accord. As you see, it's far more complicated than the protagonist will solve world hunger and save everyone mindset. Honestly, being a protagonist in the mainline SMT games kinda suck. It's not so fun deciding on an option to guide humanity when every option is bad, but that's what makes the game special. It's not just a story about what should a protagonist do, but it forces you to think, what would you do? If you had a decision to make that would shape the world, what would be your choice? And that's the strong point about the series. You'll have to think, you'll meet characters and witness events that may change your original idea or encourage you to stick by them. I'm not saying that the game has to be either extremely edgy or has to be very lighthearted. Persona also has some happier and some more bleak settings. Just while playing you can see yourself as being a protagonist, and with mainline SMT you would mostly just want to take the L and pass. It's just easier for Persona to capture more people in, especially as a first impression thing. Speaking on capturing people though, yes, the human interaction, something that Persona is famous for, while mainline and my private life not so much. It really works in Persona's favor though. When it comes to getting familiar and building any sort of attachment with the story, you know you aren't alone. You have people you can count on and you can see how their character develops throughout it. You get attached to them, you know their personal struggles, their history, which in turn helps you to immerse yourself in the story more. It's not just the social links that make this happen. Persona 2 doesn't have social links per se, but you still remember the characters, the story, the time you spent with them, and how you get to know them. The biggest leap from Persona 2, however, was adding social links, added in Persona 3 and subsequently in Persona 4 and 5. In your off time you can spend time with 2D people you like. On top of it you get rewards, bonus XP, special personas, so even if you're a diehard, I just want combat type, you get bonuses even if you have absolutely no interest in them. Like Gourmet King. I still remember him because he was such a boring social link, so that's something. On top of having people joining you, traversing the world together, you can also spend your time among other people, so you don't really feel like you're alone. It's basically, you can do cool stuff, go out, eat out, go to the movies, while staying in the comfort of your house. However, SMT is a totally different beast. You really don't meet, well, humans. It's just an apocalyptic setting, when there of course sometimes humans are present, but it's not, well, fun for most of the time. They are either hiding from the threat of demons or maybe getting wiped away by angels, who knows. It's not really about having fun, it's about survival under constant threat. SMT games generally involve a lot of combat, fighting one demon after another, and the characters you can actually get attached to can die pretty much at every moment. The actual value and loyalty to the franchise comes from the setting, and also putting it heavy on the story, the alignment system that I mentioned. It makes people get attached to certain philosophy of life, rather than, people. Everything about it strongly favors Persona in terms of popularity, because it's easier to either like or heavily dislike someone, just some of the characters, rather than be just completely alone. I like the rougher and coarser mainline SMT setting myself, but it doesn't really work in terms of the mass appeal. I really hope they will capitalize on that even more through SMT5, making the combat smoother, maybe adding the traits from Persona 5 Royal as a feature, while keeping the press turn system and having the best story and setting in the franchise, so they can focus on their strong points to preserve the identity of SMT. Hopefully they'll use Persona as a boost to maybe shift back to the mainline as the center of attention. So, closing off, what do you guys think about it? Be sure to let me know in the comments and subscribe if you want to see more SMT or Persona themed content. For now though, peace out!